Hey everybody, it's Pastor Evelyn. Today I'm celebrating in my Read the Bible Through 1,111 days. That's 1111. 1,111 days of reading through the Bible using Read the Bible Through the Bible Recap. Tara Lee Cobble does the podcast and so forth that goes with it. So if you want to read the Bible through, join me. I'll be glad to share information. It's just great to get into the Word of God. We read through the Bible every year, all the way through. So you pick the Bible of your choice. Go pick your favorite Bible and use the reading plan. Read with us. So that is my joy, my celebration today. 1111. Today on July the 15th, 2024. So I've got a short teaching video that I want to do tonight for More Than Sewing. So I'm going to show you how to cut some binding strips. So I have my material laid out. This is the selvage edge, and I'm going to lay it on my cutting mat. I'm going to lay this straight and cut some binding strips. First, I'm going to square off this edge. And before I cut anything, I'm going to walk around and see if you can see. Yes. So just making sure. Cutting binding strips. So it doesn't matter which of these vertical lines you pick. You just need to make sure that your ruler is at the same number at the top as it is at the bottom. So I just picked a 29 at the top, and it's just going to be my guide, and 29 at the bottom. So I'm not measuring width-wise. I just need a straight edge. So to get a straight edge, I put my ruler down, and I like for the line to show. So it's not like actually covering up the line, but I like the line to show at the top and the bottom. Then I press down, and press down real hard, and I'm going to give this a cut. Okay, I don't know if you can see what just happened, but it happens a lot. The ruler moved. So I'm going to have to reposition. So when you get ready to go here, you have to make sure that your ruler does not move. I actually need to add some, there's like these little silicone grippers that you can put on the bottom. Some of my big rulers have them. This one does not. But that helps it not slide. So I've got a grip here, and I'm just pressing down good and hard. And I'm going to take my rotary cutter, go straight up the side. That gives me a straight edge. Now watch what I do. I keep this hand still. Make sure that this is free. So that's great. It was a good cut. Now I have to decide how wide I want my binding strip to be. I'm going to decide I want it 3 inches. 1, 2, 3. So the right side, the material is on 29. And 3 inches over is on 26. So again, to get a straight edge, this has already been squared. I'm gonna come over 26. I like the line to show. 26 here, the line showing. And I'm just pressing down, straight down. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna repeat this same thing. Don't move this hand. Make sure this is free. You might have to come back with a second cut if you didn't bear down hard enough. Okay, so now I need to cut enough binding strips to actually go around my project. And I'll move the camera in a minute and let you see that. So I'm going to have to cut a few. So I'm going to keep it at 3 inches. 1, 2, 3. I'm lining it up, 23 at the top, 23 at the bottom. I'm going to press firmly, and you just repeat the same thing. What I'm going to end up doing is sewing these together to make a long strip, maybe 15 feet long. One long continuous strip to put around the outside of my project. And the length of it depends on how big your project is. But when you unfold the whole thing, it looks like it goes on and on and on. I'm exaggerating, but it does look like it's extremely long. But when you start measuring the outside of your project, even a small project, takes some yardage. All right, I'm gonna cut this one more. All right, this is on 23. I'm moving it over 3 inches, 1, 2, 3. So I like the line to show I'm at 20. So if you love math, you're gonna love this. If you don't love math, you're gonna learn to love it. Here we go. All right, I've got that lined up exactly where I want to. And what I'm doing right now that you can't see, I will show you, is I'm actually laying this out around my, I've got a small quilt project going to see how many I need. I'm not quite there. You could measure and count, but since I have a big table, I have the project laid out in front of me, I can do it just one at a time. That's a 17 and a 17. When you get ready to cut, count again. 1, 2, 3. It does not hurt anything to count again. Don't be in a hurry when you're trying to cut. All right. That actually slipped a little bit at the end. I was almost done. So in just those few little cuts, I am getting close to having enough. So still this line is straight across the bottom. And before I sew my strips together, I am going to cut the selvage off. You don't want to sew the selvage in because when you wash it, it just doesn't shrink the same as the rest of the material. So you're actually not wanting to use the selvage in your project. 1, 2, 3. I like to leave it on when I'm cutting to keep me oriented. And I like my binding strips to go across the selvage, not with it. So this is the selvage. That's what I mean going across it. I've got 14 at the bottom, 14 at the top. Good pressure. Uh-oh. I had a ruler fail right there. My hand slipped. That is gonna happen. I'm just gonna come back to where I was cutting. Now don't move your left hand. Yep, I got it. Okay, I didn't ruin the material, so that's a save. We thank the Lord for that. All right, laying it out roughly, it looks like that's enough. But things happen, and you don't want to cut it too short. So I like to have a little bit extra. 3 inches, 3 inches here. Press down real good. Cut that strip. Okay. All right, so that's it for cutting the binding strips. Now, that's the extra. All right, now I'm gonna move my camera around and let you see the project that I'm working on. So here's a small quilt that I'm working on. And what I did was, I would take the strips that I just cut and I laid it around the edge. I laid it around the outside of the project. So bear with me, and I'm going to get this adjusted where you can see most of it. All right. So hang in there with me. Okay. So I just wanted you to see today one little lesson, how to cut binding strips, how to make sure you have enough. I'm going to do a separate video or refer you to another video on how to sew them together and how to apply. Today is just cutting the binding strips. So when I got started, this is my quilt sandwich. It's a flip and sew. And I'm going to pull this over and explain what I mean by flip and sew. So I have my backing, batting, and rows or strips of material. So when I started, I had backing, batting, and a strip of material. I laid this down, took it to the sewing machine, and started this in and sewed all three together. That's how I started. Pressed that flat. Then I took the purple piece and laid it right side to right side like this. I laid it over like this. Laid it over and then sewed them together like that. So right side to right side, sewed it together, all three layers. Then open it up, press it real good. So when I'm coming back over, looking at this quilt, I see this has ripped out right here. And that means that I did not line it up good enough, or my cut was not straight. So what that means is I'm going to have to come in and either hand stitch this in, which would look the best, or stitch this right here with the machine. But when you are putting right side to right side, we're taking about a 1/4 inch seam right here. You want to make sure that you are catching the material from the row under it. If not, you're going to have some mess up work to do like this. You're going to have some mess up work to fix unless you make sure when you're sewing the strips together for your flip and sew, make sure that you're catching the fabric underneath. So that is sewing everything together. Your two strips, your batting, and your backing. That's flip and sew. So this is a small sample quilt that I'm doing. I'm doing it as a teaching quilt for my class. So rather than doing a great big quilt for a teaching project, I chose a small one. So I'm going to stop there with what we're trying to accomplish on this one video today, which is just giving a demonstration on how to take a piece of cloth, how to line the selvage up on a straight line, take your ruler on the right side, line that up and give yourself a good straight cut. Then decide how wide you want the binding to be. And I do 3 inches or 3.5. Some people like it a little smaller. I like to have a little bit more room to work. So that's why I go with 3 inches. So that's it for today on this video. If you're going to do a flip and sew, I've got some more videos on how to do that. I'd love to help you get started. This is a fast pace quilt. As you see, these are about 6 inches wide, 6 inches wide. And then for variation, I put in about a 2.5 inch strip. So you can break it up with even a more narrow strip than that. And quilt as you go, you don't really want to go over 6 inches without being, or 6.5, without being able to stitch it. So we're looking forward to seeing a whole lot of quilters learn how to do flip and sew. So again, I'm glad to celebrate my happy day today 1111, 1,111 days of reading the Bible through. Thanks for joining. God bless you. I hope you learned something tonight. Come and sew with us. We're more than sewing. Signing off for Pastor Ellen.